Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. I am sitting down today with John Shephard. John is a photographer. Now, we've had photographers on before. But John's specialty, as I understand it, is landscape photography with a specific film camera that I did a little bit of research on. So I'm that person who just does enough research to be dangerous now, John. So I'm warning you, I'm going to be dangerous. So I have lots of questions about that. But John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Before I start peppering you with some questions, why don't you let us kind of know? I joke when I say this. I'll give you 3 minutes to tell us your life story. But what does the audience need to know about you so that the rest of this conversation will make sense?
Sure. No, that's a great question. John Shephard. I'm from Woodinville, Washington. I've lived several other places, but settled back here, probably 10 years ago. I've been a panoramic landscape photographer for the last 30 years. Now, it's funny because I didn't plan on, I've basically shot two cameras and one type of film for these last 30 years. And I would have never planned that that's how my photographic career would go. But I just love the formats. I love.
So John, I asked you a question, technology got in the way, but give us some backstory on what do we need to know about you for this conversation? How's that? Let's do that.
That's good. I should probably go back to the late 90s. I had a traditional 35 millimeter film camera and was falling in love with being able to document all of the hikes and places that I've been throughout my life. It was absolutely fantastic. And then in 99, I went up into the Skagit Valley, Tulip Festival, etc. I get up there at 5 a.m. and there's a guy standing on his camera case with this very large camera. I'd never seen anything like it. Turned out to be an Australian panoramic photographer who was doing a book on all 50 states of America. And so when he and I start chatting, and he says, well, what do you do? And I told him I was a school teacher and I taught Spanish and I also taught photography and worked a little bit in Photoshop. And he went, Photoshop? I am looking for somebody to help me do Photoshop. I'm actually looking for an assistant. And this is back when I didn't have kids or anything else. I was far more footloose and fancy free, as they say. And basically he said, why don't you send me your resume and I'll get back with you and we'll see what we can do. A couple months go by and he says, let's go on a trip, which was Montana and Idaho. And I just kind of got a feel for what it meant to be a photographic assistant, which was carrying a lot of gear, doing a lot of driving, a lot of hiking, exactly. And really just understanding the level of dedication one needs to find really great shots. And we ended up working together for about 4 years total. I worked 2.5 years on the book and another, I guess it was 4.5 years, another 2 years living in Australia, processing all of the images and getting that ready for a book called America Wide, which was wildly successful. And one of the craziest things was we did the launch party at the U.S. consulate in Sydney on September 5th, 2001.
Oh.
So, right. So imagine a book that celebrates all 50 states of America at that time. It was unbelievable.
Right.
And the book sold like wildfire. It was really interesting. And for me personally, to be a part of all that was incredible. You know, I could never foresee what that would have looked like. I mean, this gentleman had 300 employees at the time I worked with him. Galleries and central headquarters, publishing companies, printing companies, framing company, unbelievable. And so I really got to see into the belly of the beast, if you will. And it really helped shape the way that I approach photography now and have ever since.
And was he using this style of camera that you now use?
Great question. It was a larger format version, a more expensive version called a Linhof Technorama 617. So it takes a piece of film that's 6 centimeters by 17 centimeters. So it's a very, very large, it's a very, very large piece of film, 4 shots per roll. So we had 3 bodies when we were doing the the book on America, and my job was to keep film in the cameras.
So wait a second. So you're telling me he had 3 of these large formats.
Correct.
The most you could hope to accomplish is 12 shots. But if you had all 3 cameras going, I mean, not all going, but you had to reload
all the time. And I could do it fast because that's just what I did all the time, right? That's just how it went down. So it was a heck of a lot of fun. The cameras that I use are different. They use 35 millimeter film, which is a smaller form factor. This is 120 is what I was talking about before. Mm-hmm. And my frame is about 70 millimeters by 24. So it's essentially a double frame 35 millimeter shot.
All right. Now, for perspective,
sure.
In a roll of your film, how many shots can you get?
18. Okay.
So
right.
Okay. 4.5 times. Okay. So.
Yep. Exactly. Right. It's a great question. That'd be traditionally a roll of 36 for a regular full frame 35 millimeter camera.
Right.
And yeah, exactly right.
Now, back in the 90s, I'm going to guess when you got your first camera, you would then go out and shoot and then take it down to the photomat in the parking lot of the Kmart, and they would develop this film for you perfectly. No.
Right. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I was in a dark room in high school. That was a long time ago, back when it was tintype photos and things like that.
That's right.
You don't have to agree so quickly with the tintype. Come on now.
I'm sure we're the same age, so I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, no. My question though is from a developing standpoint, same chemicals, same equipment, larger scale. Does this film take different developing techniques than my
does.
Rule? Okay, it does. All right.
It does. They call the process E6, and it's taking transparency. So what you were working with negatives, and you would see the negative image on there. I'm working with film where I see the positive. I see the actual shot that I took in all its color and everything else.
Oh.
Now, E6 processing, way back when I had learned that's pretty challenging to do. Leave that to the professionals. The last thing you want to do is be on a trip, take a bunch of shots, you've hiked miles, all these things, and then screw up your developing.
Right.
At home, right? I'm happy to pay for it. And so, that process was something that I really just was happy to give to someone else because, again, I wanted to make sure the shots could look as best as they possibly could.
Now, I joked about photomat. I'm going to guess that type, what you were developing wasn't what, So back in the 90s, where were you sending your film to be developed?
There was a company in Seattle called IVC Wright. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I can't remember when they went out of business. It was quite a while ago. And then when I lived in Australia, we had our own developing company with the photographer I worked for. And so I used them. I used them for years. I'd even ship my film to Australia, have them develop it, and they'd mail it back.
Oh, wow.
It became a little cumbersome and expensive, obviously. And so now I go through a couple of different companies, one in California and one in Oregon. And they just hand process it, and it's about the same as it's always been, which is really nice. It's nice to have that convenience.
All right. So a couple of things that jump out about your initial, serendipitous meeting with this photographer up in, I was going to give you a hard time. You went to the tulips? Nobody ever does that. No.
Right.
But you're
then not as many. Now they do.
Many, but you're at this, 5 a.m. early morning, you're taking a shot. Right. You meet this guy, you guys strike up the conversation. You go to Idaho and Montana. That's easy. I mean, that's easy. But you said you were a school teacher, and then you also said you ended up for 2 years in Australia.
That's right.
How hard was it for you to make that commitment to go halfway across the globe to continue being this guy's assistant?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I love travel as much as anything on this planet. Okay. I feel it's been my best teacher. The connections I've made with people, landscape, everything. I would travel. I tease my girlfriend a lot and be like, we can just sell everything and just travel. I'd be fine with that. I really love what it offers. And so to have an opportunity like that, I jumped at it immediately. I
Okay.
realized that was incredibly unique and special. And it wasn't easy. There were plenty of challenges, a lot of work, but
Mm-hmm.
really worth it. I learned things I could never imagine. Like if you had said in the beginning, write down everything you want to learn and all the rest of it, I couldn't have come up with a list of how it went down. It was fantastic.
Okay. So when your time as the assistant comes to its close and you
Yeah,
come back to the States, did you come back to Washington or were you living elsewhere at that time?
we did. Yeah, I came back to Woodinville and went back to teaching.
You went
So
back
I
to
had like a
teaching.
4-year hiatus, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I've always loved about teaching, I mean, I really do love the job. I love working with people and all sorts of things. I mean, I teach Spanish as well, which is definitely not my first love, but something I absolutely love and kind of fits with the travel, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then photography too, just to get people to open their eyes and see beauty and find success, find joy in what they're creating.
Okay.
That's worth it. It's all so much fun.
This camera now that you're started
Yeah.
to shoot with, though they're no longer being made. Is that correct?
Right. Well,
Okay.
that's right. And one of the companies doesn't really exist anymore either.
All right.
They were odd. Both cameras that I have, one is a Noblex. It's called a Noblex 135U.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it unique is it is a swing lens camera, meaning the lens actually sits on a cylinder and rotates when you take the picture.
Right.
So you get a 136-degree angle of view. It's very, very wide.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a phenomenal lens. It was a small company in Germany, all hand built. When you buy the camera, they send it to you with the craftsman's hand signature on his own notes when he made it. I mean, it was really special. Yeah, it was really great, actually.
Right.
And then the other camera I have is a Hasselblad Xpan 2. And the name Hasselblad, you've probably heard of.
I have heard that, yes.
Pretty legendary for a number of reasons. And this was also a beautiful camera, but very different, more like a traditional camera, fixed lens.
Mm-hmm.
And much, much more shallow. The field of view with the lens that I have on it is 71 degrees. So a much tighter angle. And yeah, both cameras see a similar frame in that they're both rectangular, but one is very narrow compared to the other one is very wide. And I love shooting with them both. And sometimes a scene, it'll speak to you and say, oh, that's the camera I got to grab, or I'm going to go with this one.
Right.
It's really kind of fun to do that.
Now, these are precision instruments and you're lugging them around. I'm sure you're being very careful and cautious, but let's be honest, things happen out in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Our best intentions. So how does one, I think in today's day and age not that I want my digital camera to break, but right. I can go buy another one. I can call up B&H and buy a replacement, just, and have it here in 2 days, probably.
Absolutely.
So what sort of maintenance and care and feeding of these instruments? I mean, what is, because I'm interpreting from what you're doing here is nothing about your process and your art is easy. You're right. Kind of intentionally being very intentional. Sorry, that was kind of corny, but you get the idea. But you're not. I do. You're not just running around with your iPhone and taking quick snapshots and going, "Hey, this is a great photo." Like that's what I do. And very rarely do I ever say that's a great photo. Most of the time, I'm like, "How to get my thumb in the lens again?"
I do that sometimes too with my phone. I get it.
Right, but the point is, you've got these delicate instruments. Yeah. One of the companies is no longer in business. Both models aren't being made.
Right.
Have you become a repair guy also, or how do you keep these going?
It's an excellent question. I have one gentleman who's in his 80s he was in California for years. Now he's in Texas. He has an apprentice that's doing it and he fixes my cameras. Yeah, you're exactly right. They're complex. He is just an expert when it comes to old, unique cameras. I mean, you have to understand both these cameras, they didn't make a lot of. Not that film was on its way out, but they were odd cameras, right? The panoramic, the swing lens can be a real pain to shoot. I can talk about that later, why certain subjects just don't work at all. And yeah, it's challenging. And so people didn't really gravitate towards them. So yeah, I've got one person and it's funny. They take AAA batteries, the Noblex does, and there's a little tiny contact point for the batteries. There's several of them. And one of them fell out when I was in the field. I have no idea where it was. Well, then I couldn't turn my camera. a little contact point for the
Okay.
battery, which means I couldn't turn my camera on. Luckily, I had a piece of chewing gum in my pocket, and I was able to take the metal from the wrapper and actually get it to work.
Okay.
But I called Bob up, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna need these contact points." He's like, "You better hurry up. I've got 4 left. That's it." So it is something that I realize is going away at some stage, and that's why I was so thankful that the book got done with it when it did.
Right.
Uh, because
Right.
yeah, as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to tinker with these things, find the parts, find the people that understand how to repair them.
Well, when we talked
Yeah.
on the phone, you also mentioned, or at least this is what I recall, that
Sure.
the film itself now is harder. I want to make it, what I want to remember you saying was something along the
Yeah.
lines of, when the manufacturer releases the film, it sells out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So
Why wouldn't they release more? That's
no,
right.
not just that, but I could go there. But the point is, where I'm going is, like, you get your allotment of roles for the year.
Right.
And once again, it comes back to you being intentional. You know, I don't know how many rolls of film you buy a year.
Right.
Yeah. How many rolls of film do you buy a year?
I think this past year I had 20, which may not seem like a lot,
No.
but I am very intentional. I don't shoot heavy. I never have. I want to
Right.
make sure the shot makes sense. I want to make sure when I'm looking at a scene that I can hold everything together. And what I mean by that is you've got highlights and you have lowlights in a frame.
Right.
For example, when you take a shot, like you see the classic silhouette of palm trees in Hawaii, and the palm trees themselves are silhouettes, they're black. But when you're standing there, they certainly aren't black. You can see details in the bark, the leaves, the color, everything else. And then the sky is gorgeous. Well, your eyes have this ability to find detail in the highlights and the shadows at the same time. It can do it masterfully. Film cannot. And the film that I shoot does it very, very poorly. So there's certain scenes that I'll look at and go, I can't hold it all together. Meaning I'm going to have something that's way overexposed or way underexposed, and there's no reason for me to shoot it.
Right.
It can be frustrating with people around me, but they're like, "That's a beautiful shot." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't take it."
Not with
And
this gear.
Correct. Not with
Okay.
this gear.
Okay.
And yeah, it is interesting. So I have done it very, very slowly. Also, I had some old batches of film that got mixed in with some new, and I didn't realize it at the time. So I've taken some shots where I've done 6 or 7 shoots and come back and the film's bad. The color is, gone magenta, or it's just unusable. And that's all part of the process. I mean,
Right.
to your point, I am kind of making it hard on myself, in some ways.
That's
But I
not
love
necessarily bad. I think.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't want you to get the impression that I think what you're doing is like, I'm not advocating for you to like grab your iPhone and just throw it all away,
Right.
but
it's a good point to make.
I like the fact that you're being intentional with everything. When you say 20 rolls of film, I'm guessing that's about 360 potential shots.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say probably 10% of those are ones that I would really use. I might take, like, there are certain situations, certain scenes where it's a sunrise and you're in a beautiful spot and the sky is going nuts, and it's going to work. As long as you don't blow the exposure, you've got it.
Okay.
And so I might take 4 or 5 shots of something like that just to make sure, and do what they call bracketing, where you would make it intentionally a little lighter or intentionally a little bit darker to try to find a sweet spot for the exposure. Yeah.
Now with this, the lens that's moving, how long of a period of time is the exposure of the shot?
Excellent. These are great questions, by the way. So that camera can shoot a 500th of a second to 1 second, and about everything in between, every stop in between.
Okay.
So some of my shots will be more than a second. And so what that means is I just do multiple shots. I'm using a cable release, of course. I'm on a tripod for everything, for maximum sharpness. And then I'll just take multiple shots. Like one of the cover shots of the book is a 4-second shot. It's that same frame, literally, that I took over probably 3 hours, because there was a bit of wind that was messing with the scene, and I waited till it died down. I just didn't want the leaves moving in a long exposure. There's some leaves that still are, but I don't know. You get ideas of what you want. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm on your site and I'm looking at a photo of water coming down moss covered rocks.
Sure.
How long of exposure was that?
Is there a rock in the right-hand side as kind of an anchor?
Yes. Sorry, my face is over the rock. That makes the image horrible. Sorry, you don't want my face over that rock. Yes, it is.
We're talking about the same shot. That one was 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
And 4 seconds. And you'll notice some of the vine maple, there's a little bit of shake, if you will. It is what it is. I don't care. But yeah, I'm trying to get as much sharpness as I can, and et cetera. Yeah, that's really kind of the route that I went with that particular shot, at least.
And then, so, yeah. Now you're Little Lake Tipsu, that one. Just out of curiosity, how long approximately was the exposure on that? On Mount Rainier?
I'm going to go back to the other shot for one thing, because you asked the question, how long does it take?
Okay.
If you're taking a shot at a 500th of a second, that lens cylinder spins very quickly.
Very.
If you're taking a shot at 1 second, it's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds before it does a full rotation all the way around to expose that shot evenly. The lens actually starts behind, it starts behind where you think the lens would be, and the cylinder will slowly move around, and it's slow. So you're playing with time as well. And then Tipsu was done with the Hasselblad camera. Okay. It's a little tighter view, and you can probably see that it's a little more on there. And that would have been, my guess is that was probably, I didn't write down the exposure on that. I would guess it was somewhere around a quarter second would be my guess. And that would be a true quarter second. There's no lens that's rotating or otherwise.
So on the camera with the rotating lens, once again, you're adding intentionality. That scene could have been interrupted by anything out of your control. I mean,
totally. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. You're exactly right. All right. And maybe that's one of my favorite things about being a landscape guy, is that you recognize how little control you have. Like, it's a good lesson. It's like if I find myself like, I don't like this sunrise, it's not fair. Well, I don't do that much anymore, but you recognize, it's like, well, first of all, who are you? And second of all, you have no control over any of this. Why are you worried about it? Just keep coming back.
Right.
Eventually it'll work. Eventually it'll hit.
I wrote down some questions and I kind of had this mental framework of how I thought the episode would go. And I think I want to mix this up, because
however you want.
I'm looking on your website, and I'm on the wild section right now, and you've got I'm in your print, so you got the wild, the sea, the land, and the city. So I preface with this with an apology before I start asking.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm not going to ask you where your favorite topic is. That's unfair. But I am going to put you on the spot about Washington State, and I'm going to say it's fall.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there a place that comes to mind? I'm not going to ask you your favorite. I mean, if you'll go that far, you'll go that far. But the point is, it's fall. Landscape photography with your gear. Where are you taking it?
Great question. Are we talking pre-Instagram or post? Do you know what I mean, though? That changed the game. Like, I love the larch, as does everyone, and I love that we all do. So if we're talking, Maple Pass, places like that, pre-Instagram, I would be North Cascades all over the place. Harts Pass, ridges that you could hike off that particular area, which are still really good because not a lot of people go out that particular spot. Right. I think if I had to pick one spot now, it'd be the Salmo Priest Wilderness, which is in the northeastern corner. Exactly why. That your face is exactly why I would do it. No one knows where it is. So I went out there a couple of years ago. It's an
never heard of it.
Area. Right. It's Pend Oreille County.
Okay.
Literally the northeastern corner of the state.
So is it by Gardner State Park?
I don't know if it's by Gardner. You know where Medellin Falls is?
I do.
There you go. So it's in that area. Right. Okay. There's your big city out there. Yeah. But it is an untouched, incredible wilderness area. It's absolutely stunning. They have larch. They have great fall color. the only place I know in Washington where they have signs for grizzly bears. I mean, that is absolutely a thing that happens there. The campsites that are in that particular area all have bear boxes.
Wow.
It's a very wild, rugged place.
Okay.
And I absolutely love it. Lake Sullivan is right around there, and that's known for the larch. And for the size of lake that it is, it's unbelievably still. It blows me away. Usually big lakes, you're not going to get a great reflection. But this one, for some reason, may not be that deep. I don't know, but I'm always stunned when I go there and see how, it's gorgeous.
All right. So now let's move to winter. And you kind of ruined my questions by asking the really important one, pre or post Instagram. But let's just your personal preference. It's wintertime. Where do you want to take your equipment?
So winter for me now, I'm really having fun with more astrophotography and this cycle of the aurora that's been happening over the last couple of years for us, right? You may know this, but aurora cycles run every 11 years and they vary in intensity. And so we are in we're at the tail end of, from 2024 on, it's been one of the strongest cycles. And so I check that every day. And I have an area that I go to in the Cascades that I absolutely love. And I want to get stars and the aurora and all the rest of it. So I would say remote mountain, snowshoeing, that sort of thing. Yeah, right. Central Cascades.
Spring? Where are we going in spring?
That's a great question. I mean, the tulip fields are a fun choice, but I don't think I'd run there right away. One area that I haven't done much work in, and I'm really excited to go to, is down near Fort Lewis McChord, that base. I know that sounds crazy to say. They have, I think it's 80,000 acres that you can actually go on and explore. It's crazy. I don't know if you know about this.
I do.
Okay. There are camas fields that are out there that I'm very excited with. Getting the idea of having Rainier with camas in the front would be incredible.
Okay. The reason I'm smirking is that Fort Lewis, I grew up in that area.
Oh, okay.
So I call it Fort Lewis because I'm old. Joint Base Lewis McChord now for those people who are recent to the area. But have you ever heard of the Mazama pocket gopher?
No, I've not.
So the Mazama pocket gopher is an endangered species.
Okay.
And its habitat is primarily Joint Base Lewis McChord and Thurston County. And the reason, this is me being sarcastic, but the reason it's an endangered species is because it likes to be out in the artillery fields.
Yeah.
But my day job is I'm a real estate broker. And my specialty is I deal foreclosures. So I deal with murder scenes and meth labs and Mazama pocket gopher infested houses. I've literally had to deal with getting gopher studies done.
Yeah.
To get the permission to clean. And I'm just laughing because it's like whenever somebody says Fort Lewis, my brain goes to these really ugly rodents. I have never seen a photograph anywhere that made them, look at all like, oh, they're cute. No, they're ugly. And the fact that they're at Fort Lewis and you want to go out there and take photos, I was just thinking, oh, he's going to go look for, and then I started thinking of Caddyshack and the whole little gopher thing. And anyway, sorry, that's my brain.
No, that's all right.
So you want to go out there. I'm struggling with my earbuds today. You want to go out there and do that during spring. That's interesting. I've never heard anybody say they want to go photograph it at JBLM or anything like that.
I know. That's why I threw that. Well, and that's why I threw it out there because I figured it'd be something that most people wouldn't think of. I mean, I've got a ton of photos of like the arrowleaf balsam root, the big yellow daisy looking flowers, kind of black-eyed Susan looking flowers. Beautiful. And they're all over Eastern Washington, as you know. And of course, different elevations at different times are going to bloom. And I love that. So Beasley Hills outside of Wenatchee. I mean, there's just countless areas. And then when the lupin starts, then you're getting this beautiful purple and gold and all the rest of it. And it's just so fun to be a part of.
What about summertime? Where we heading off to?
Probably more in the Palouse. Summer's my least favorite season because the skies don't seem to be as dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
and everything is pretty much the same, usually a lot less rainfall. And so you're dealing with some struggling, well, as you know, you live out in Wenatchee, the hills in the springtime there are stunning.
For about
But
2.5 weeks. It
there you
really
go.
is a short window.
It is.
It
It's
really
short, but
is.
it's gorgeous. You go through Dryden, Pashastin, and that area, and
Mm-hmm.
I just love it. But
Right.
so I do love that area. But in the summertime, I mean, the coast can be a lot of fun. That's not
Okay.
a bad way to get out there, and your Shai Beach and Point of Arches and that sort of area.
Right.
Um, like the shot that we were talking about, the green waterfall, mossy rocks, that was done in May. That's my favorite time to be in
Okay.
Olympic National Park. It's a beautiful time where your spring runoff is coming through strongly, and snow has subsided enough to where everything looks clean, everything is green, the flow is strong.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, 2 months later, that shot, it doesn't look good at all. It's yellow moss and a trickle of a river.
Right. So it's interesting is that you sound like you do a conscientious job of moving around the state. You kind of almost named every corner, especially when you went to the Northeast. Is there a spot in Washington state that you haven't gone to yet that you want to?
I mean, I always laugh with my friends, like, how many lifetimes would we need to explore all these mountains, I mean, this place has everything. Although I've been in the Cascades a lot and the North Cascades a lot, there's so much more I want to explore in that area. Those rugged, remote areas. No, there's not one particular area I don't feel like I haven't touched that much. Maybe the dunes that are out by Hanford and that sort of area there by the Tri-Cities. That's an area I haven't spent a lot of time in. And I think there's probably some gorgeous things to see out there if you're willing to hike in. And I know I see your trepidation with that as well. It's not the same as the North Cascades or
it's
or
not
otherwise.
If I'm being fair and I did not appreciate the Tri-Cities area. First few times I went out there as an adult, I was like, I just don't get this. In the last couple of years, though, I've gone. For business, a lot of the houses I have are down there, and so I go down there more now than ever before.
Sure,
I'm finding more and more things that are interesting, more and more things that are catching my eye. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. The Hanford Reach is not going to be one of those. I drive that into Richland. That's how I get there. So, Vantage on down the Columbia. And honestly, that's a boring stretch of road.
Sure.
But I don't get off of it either because, well, you can't because Hanford
I was going to say, where
won't
you
let
go?
you. But the point is,
exactly.
that section of the state to me is kind of, I could just drive through it and be okay with missing it. But if you get down there and you go closer to the gorge, I mean, the Columbia Gorge is just jaw-dropping. I'm not suggesting going to the gorge per se, but down as you get out of Tri-Cities heading south before you go across to go into Umatilla. I go down there a bit now and I'm finding more and more things that are like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like there's things to explore here that you just have to work a little harder. How's that?
It's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I treat this as like I'm looking for buried treasure, something I've loved to do since I was a boy. And I still feel that kind of energy around it. The excitement, gosh, what's going to be around this corner? Or, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. It doesn't always work out that way. In fact, it works out more, well, I should say it works out less often that you find exactly what you're hoping to find or something magical. But maybe that's what makes it all the more special. I mean, I just love it. The research, I do a ton of research using USGS maps, looking for old homesteads, for example, or waterfalls that may be in areas that I haven't had a trail access to or otherwise, and just try to find unique features because this state is full of them. And
when you're going and what you've said a lot here is you're hiking here, you're going there. How much gear? What's your gear? How much are you packing in with you?
My cameras weigh 35 pounds, and then I'll take a front pack that I'll use as well. And that usually just has something that if I need to spend the night or whatever else, just a little bit of food. But I'm probably carrying about 50 pounds worth of gear. And yeah, it's a lot, but it's also part of it. It's kept me in shape, which is good. And
Right.
yeah,
So what's the vehicle that's getting you here?
a little Subaru Outback.
Okay, so you've got the official
Yep.
car of Washington State, the Subaru.
I
Okay.
absolutely do. I've
Okay.
put skid plates underneath it, which have been really helpful.
Okay.
I hear the ting of aluminum is way better than
than the cry of the credit card being hit as you tore the oil. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly right. Yes.
Now one thing you brought up, and this, I warned you, this is the way my brain works. I'm going back to the photograph of the water coming down the moss and all that. And you told me that took about 2.5 minutes to complete its rotation.
To do a 1 second exposure. Yeah. That's a 4 second. So there you go. Yep.
Okay. So, but now as I'm looking and I clicked on the city, and it seems on the surface that this style of photography, especially with the rotating lens, might not lend itself to a city landscape where there's going to be movement. You know, cars, lights, people. Right. Am I accurate in that assessment that this is maybe its weak point?
That's a really, really good question. I guess it depends on what is moving. Like, let's say, for example, I'm closer to the street and there's some lovely curves in the road and whatnot, and I want that movement with the car lights and everything else. I think that can be a real beautiful look. Okay. But as you can see from those two photographs, that was the exact same morning. It was just, it was a one-off. I have a story in the book about that particular thing. But essentially, I was just looking for a vantage point. And one of the negatives I could say with my camera is everything is further away. Since it shoots so wide, everything is at a distance. Right. So you can't just go to the top of a mountain and shoot. If you have no foreground to kind of anchor that for the viewer, you just don't feel that connection. Right. I mean, I do because I was there, but you show that to someone else, good luck with that. Right. So for that particular one, I knew there could be some movement. I believe there is a slight, a plane that was flying by. There's a contrail or something that's on there. I don't know if you can see it, but I didn't feel like that would be problematic in that particular composition. There wasn't enough that could move that would hurt the photo, I thought, in any way. And my gosh, the way the sky went off that day, it was just jaw dropping. I have really only 3 shots, and one when I lived in Australia, and I shot 400 sunrises in Australia. And I have one where it looks like that kind of psychotic, color kaleidoscope. Right. It's rare. I got to calm myself down because I get so excited when it gets like that, So we were going to eventually, folks, he's got a book coming out of his photography. So stay tuned. You mentioned something, you're shooting on transparency versus negatives. Correct. I've never once, like I said, I've been in a dark room maybe once in my life. So I'm not a film guy at all. From a technology standpoint, can your cameras use regular, negative type film, or does it have to be this transparency? And no, you're asking, it can use any kind of film you want. Okay. And the reason I stuck with one film, it's Fujichrome Velvia 50, and the 50 is the ISO, and that has to do with the speed. You probably know about this. Mm-hmm. And it has a very tight granularity. So in other words, its sharpness is going to be very, very tight. The lower you go, typically you get better sharpness. Not always. It depends on the film. Okay. That film, I love how it renders greens in particular, like the one green shot that you're looking at. I think the greens in West Coast Washington forests are phenomenal. It does a beautiful job with blue and color. And so I stuck with it because I loved that formula. I tried other films early on and I just didn't love the color rendition in the same way. And so I thought, I just need to get good with this one. And so that's really the only film I've ever shot because of that. Okay. Your original, the Australian guy, what did he shoot transparency? Ken Duncan. Yeah, same film, same everything. And today he still shoots some film. I'm not sure what, to be honest. I need to ask him about that. But he also has a digital camera and is working on stitching panoramic shots together, which is becoming more and more popular. They call it nodal panoramic photography. Okay. And that's something I just started playing with. I just got back from a trip in Australia, and that was really my first foray, if you will, into that. I didn't take my film cameras at all. I just focused on, let's see how this digital works. And it was pretty cool.
So what's the preliminary results? I mean, does it have potential for you as an artist?
For sure.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm down to my last roll of this Velvia film right now, and there'll be more that's coming in October, and I'll get some more rolls, but I just see the writing on the wall. It's going away.
Right.
Eventually it's going to be something that will be impossible to get that film. I imagine they'll stop making it. They make it in small quantities in Japan. They ship some to North America, and that's that. So yeah, I really liked the quality that I had. There's a lot of advantage with digital, from what I can tell preliminarily, at least.
Right.
In that, like I was talking about earlier, where if a scene has too much of a contrast range, too bright, too dark in one scene, with my film, I'm just not going to be able to do it. Now, sometimes artistically, you can use that to your advantage. Maybe you do want something to silhouette and it'll look cool, but usually I'm trying to find a way to balance it all out. Digital has a wider latitude, so it can do better with a higher contrast. And that is a very nice thing to play with. So yeah, I think there is definitely a direction I can go with this, and I'm excited to do it as well.
So when you went to Australia, what you took digital with you? What did you take, equipment wise?
I have a full frame digital camera. It's a Panasonic Lumix. It's it can shoot up to 48 megapixels, which is really nice. And then I brought my tripod with what they call a nodal setup, NODAL. And the idea behind that is, when you take a panoramic shot, I'm sure you have with your cell phone, and you do it, and you get some odd warping sometimes. We call that parallax. Well, with a nodal system, you calibrate the camera. You put the tripod head has a rail that's on it, the way that I'm doing this. And you take the camera and you slide it back off the center of the tripod head. You set up a couple of different, I used a couple of bamboo posts that I had to kind of align up and play with the parallax, moving the camera back and forth till I could eliminate parallax. And so that's what the nodal tripod system does. And so I'm just taking shots as I go across. And as I do that, I didn't even take a computer when I was in Australia. I didn't want to edit or do any of that. But take them home, you drop them into Photoshop. It does a really nice job of assembling the photos. And then you see if your calculations are correct. How's the parallax? How's the focus? How's everything else? And like I said, preliminarily, I felt really good about it. I think I have 2 or 3 shots that I'm very happy with, and the rest I can absolutely learn from. And some weren't wide enough. And I realized, I like a much wider view than what I did. Because the difference with the film camera, I can look at the frame and I know what I'm going to get, at least in theory. Where when you're stitching together, it's a little bit more, I'm not there yet to understanding exactly what it's going to look like.
Were you using a wide angle lens, or were you using a fixed lens, or how does that?
Yeah, I have a 14 to 24 millimeter lens, and it's a 2.8, so it shoots pretty wide open. And I had calibrated my camera at 20 millimeters, and so that's all that I took the frames with. Again, I thought I'm going to keep this as simple as I can, so I can understand what the heck I'm doing.
Right.
And and it was cool. I mean, it's funny. I'm not against digital really in any way, shape, or form. I love art, period. And if people want to go a digital route, or they're painters or whatever, I love that stuff. It's so fun. And so I'm happy to embrace it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I really need to dive in, and I need to understand it better. And
well, I'm not of the opinion that one is better than the other. If you are, if you can't get the film to use your camera,
that's right.
Are you going to stop taking pictures?
I'll play with other films that are in existence. I don't feel that film will go away really ever. There'll be somebody somewhere that makes it.
Right, but
whether it's a Kodak or a
niche
Fuji
film, the transparency stuff is a little bit. It's from the way you're describing it. I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is, well, why don't they just, if they're selling out, why don't they make more? Well,
I know. And I'm not sure of the answer for that. I've talked with Fuji North America, and they're much more interested in their digital stuff, and I'm working on things with them on that as well. But I really am hoping to get a hold of somebody in Japan and be like, so what's the real story? How much longer is this film in existence, et cetera?
Right. And does Amazon JP, can I buy it on Amazon? JP.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
You know what? You can buy it on Amazon, but it's $120 a roll. So if somebody is doing a severe markup, it's normally around 35.
Wow.
But you can order it. And I'm not prepared to do that. That's
no, but that's wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So you've been doing this. Your teacher. You obviously. I think what I'm taking away from a lot of this is you're patient. You like I'm putting words in your mouth, but you like the process of planning out where you're going, trying to,
very much.
Yes, you can't control what the weather's going to do that day, whether it's going to be good for photography or not optimal for photography.
That's right.
But you're not just like going, I'll run over here and take some shots today. You come across as being far more methodical. That being said, what was the process for you to decide on taking on just an easy little task of putting together a book? Because books are easy. Yeah, they're just, they're just so easy.
You're right. I think certainly when I was a photo assistant and we were working on a book about America, I was embroiled in that entire process, watching everything from obviously the taking of the photos to helping to sort, the 100,000 photos that were taken to, I know, it was unbelievable. And just seeing the entire process from conception to launch party, if you will.
Right.
And I knew that, that's the way that I want to do it, especially in a panoramic format. I don't think a digital medium is a great way to show them, but a book, well, they open pretty panoramically most of the time, And so for me, it was something that I felt I just have to do, and I want to do it right. I didn't put a real time scale on it for me. There was a large chunk where I wasn't shooting all that much when my kids were younger.
Right.
And, and as you know, it gets busy, but it's something that I've always loved and just hung on to, if you will. And even the book process, it's funny you bring that up. I called Ken Duncan a couple of years ago and I said to him that I was ready to start building a book. And he was like, "Oh, mate, that's great. You can talk to, you can talk to my designer and I can get you all the contacts for printing and all the rest of it." And at the time I was super excited about all of that. And then I sat with it for a couple of months and went, you know what, I got to do this. I've got to figure out I need to understand the process fully. And so for the last really 8 months, I just dove into it and did all that I could. I'd never printed a CMYK before. There was never a thing. My prints are all done on, high-end art papers, and that's a whole different beast than offset printing.
Right.
And I don't know. It was great. It was trial by fire. I learned a ton. It exhausted me in a lot of ways, but I'm pretty darn happy about it. It was really fun. It's fun to learn, as you know, Scott. It's just so cool to empower yourself with that. And that's really what this journey's been all about, is just trying to get somewhere to completion, if you will.
Now the foreword of the book is written by Randy Lewis, who's somebody whose name has come up multiple times across the years during the podcast as somebody I should have on. And I've never,
you definitely should have Randy.
I've never met Randy.
Oh gosh.
I've never heard anybody say anything other than a very kind, enthusiastic word about him. So why did you pick Randy, and how is he connected to the project?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think there's anyone that loves the state as much as Randy, who knows about the state from coast to plains to all the rest of it. He is so intelligent. He is one of the most learned people I've ever been around, and giving as well. How I met Randy was through mutual friends, and one of my friends is a geologist and was working out in the plain area and and he likes to understand about how the tribes interacted with the landscape. And so he wanted to learn more information. So he went to the Wenatchee Valley Museum and saw a couple of books written by Randy, ended up buying them. And as he's checking out, he said, "Hey, I'd really like to meet Randy." And he hears a voice behind him, "I'm right behind you." And so, right? And they started talking, and that turned into a 4-hour conversation, an exchange of phone numbers. And the next thing you know, Randy's part of our crew, or we're part of his. I don't know how else to put it. And he really, he leads all sorts of museum tours, whether it's to Stehekin, or he'll team up with Nick Zentner and do geology and it's incredible what he does. And so he just started taking us out and around and saying, well, this is where Chief Moses had his winter camp, for example. What do you notice about it? He's a teacher. But he just, it's amazing. I'm like, wow, I see a lot of currants here, for example, like a lot more. It's exactly right. They planted those there so they know they could forage and all the rest of it. What do you see with this area right here? I'm like, well, why is the rock all discolored? He goes, well, we had our sweat lodges here. And it just, I don't know, I saw the landscape with eyes I could never imagine. Somebody who's been connected to that landscape for thousands of years, if you will, that type of thing. Yeah, you should definitely have him on the show. He's amazing.
I have, for whatever reason, I haven't made any effort to reach out to him, and that's all on me. It's not like he's going to reach out to me and say, hey, you should talk to me. He's got plenty of, like, he's, I'm aware of him through Nick Zentner, and, and Nick is quite prolific, and
absolutely.
He was one of my very first guests on the podcast, and there's a terrifying story of that. Nick was, yep, let's just go, push the button, let's go. I mean, he was no nonsense. I'm like, and Nick just launched into being Nick, and it was great. And I kind of hung on for dear life. And Nick was,
it's awesome.
Yeah, he was very kind. So the book, now, it's my understanding, correct me, is it's currently being printed?
It's being printed. So I'm getting like my first box of 10, if you will. I'll get them in the next couple of weeks, and then the shipment should arrive at the end of September.
Okay.
For the rest. Yeah.
And how are you planning on promoting, and what's your distribution strategy?
Yeah, well, as of right now, obviously through my website, that's a really easy way to do it, and I'll fulfill all of those orders.
Right.
As of right now, I'm reaching out to different areas. So Elliott Bay Books, Third Place Books in 2 locations. I have a place, Auntie's Bookstore in Spokane, and then Books and Games down in Walla Walla. But I've literally just started this outreach process. I had a meeting with WSU yesterday as well, and I'll be doing a talk there, it looks like in November, which is exciting. So I'm hoping to really do lots of artist speaks and talks. I mean, I've been a school teacher forever. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy talking about, well, all sorts of things. What drives me to do this? It's so much fun.
If you haven't reached out to, you should try reaching out to Village Books in Bellingham.
Yeah, they're awesome. They want me to deliver books in person, which is great. They seem amazing. So I'll wait until September to where I have the bulk of the books. The 10 that I have, they're already gone. So, but they look awesome.
One of the things that Village does, I think, very, very well is they have a very frequent author presentations, like almost daily. They've got authors talking about their books. And so they've obviously built an audience that likes that. And Bellingham's not that far from Woodinville. You can get up there.
No, not at all. I love Bellingham.
Yeah, Bellingham's great. So I would tell you, in my opinion, Village Books would be a good one for you.
Thank you.
And then there's a bookstore in Olympia whose name is escaping me, but I would also think that this topic would do well down in the Olympia area as well.
I may have reached out to them. See if I can find that.
Bowser's or Browser's Books, and don't quote me on that.
No,
but so you're self-publishing, right? You're doing this yourself.
Yes,
the technology,
exactly.
Self-publishing, and it's not that it's done, but at this moment you've released it. I mean, it's to the printers now. You can't go back and say, "Hey, I need to change something." They're going to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That's been, we proved this X number of times for you, sir, and that's going to live in the book until the second edition."
Yeah.
So I don't want to say your project's done because you got a lot of heavy lifting to do. But what's next after that? What do you want to do?
Great question. I want to keep shooting Washington for a while. I really do, because there are certain areas I need to explore more. So we do another edition of this book, or when I do a re-release, there's more images. I have no idea, but that seems to be a route that I'd really like to go. And exploring the digital, the stitching, the nodal panoramics I was talking about. I think that's going to be really important as well. Yeah, those are really what's on my radar. And then promotion of the book. That'll take up a lot of time,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. And that to me, I would have a love-hate with that. I mean, I would love most of it. I would love, and some of it. I'm perfectly comfortable sitting here with a microphone in my face, talking to you.
Yep. Yep.
Boy, put me in front of an audience of 3 or 4 people or more. I'm not so comfortable.
Okay.
But you've got you're teaching. You kind of stand up in front of a room of distracted human beings all the time. And
I was going to say, maybe not always the most receptive audience.
Right. But you're learning how to deal with hecklers. How's that? You
Totally.
could maybe go do stand up.
That's right.
What initially though, so you grew up in Washington, right? As a kid?
I did.
When did you pick up a camera for the first time?
I was 26.
Okay.
Yeah. I was teaching already and teaching Spanish then at the time.
Okay.
And one of my parents at the end of the year, she knew I was going to Mexico for the summer. I'd spend 9 weeks down in Mexico or Spain or wherever.
Right.
And work on my Spanish, right? And she gave me this beautiful journal, this leather wrapped, gorgeous handmade paper. And like, you do have all these great adventures. Why don't you write about it? And so I packed that into my backpack and brought it home the exact same way that I had received it, with nothing in it. I did nothing. But I realized from that point that I know, but I realized it got the wheels turning, like, yeah, I do want to document these sorts of things. And so I talked to the photography instructor at my school at the time, because I wasn't into photography, and he recommended a beautiful little point and shoot, a Yashica T4. It has a Carl Zeiss lens on it, beautiful little compact camera. And I started to take pictures with that and kind of fell in love with the results. And that prompted me to put more energy and more money and more time into that said hobby. That's pretty much how it started.
Yeah, photography is so inexpensive.
Oh my gosh. I suppose every hobby, but you're exactly right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know. It's true.
So where did you grow up? What area?
Well, I grew up in Woodinville.
You grew up
really,
in Woodinville. Okay.
Like Cottage Lake area of Woodinville, and at a time where there were more horses than people.
I was going to say it's changed.
Just a little bit.
The
addition of Microsoft and Redmond certainly changed everything, and all the rest of it. But I was surrounded. My folks, we lived on a lake, which was fantastic, and then I was surrounded by probably 700 acres of woods. It's now county land, most of it, which is still accessible and it's great. But that's how I spent almost all my childhood. I just, get out of the house and come back at dinner time.
Right.
Very classic. You probably can relate.
I can. It just seemed like a much simpler time, didn't it? It just seemed like a much simpler time. But
that's it.
So you picked up photography at 26. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I did. But I dove into it wholeheartedly, because again, it's always been like, I love travel, like with Spanish and languages. I worked at a Mexican restaurant as a kid, and I was a host back in the days where you're like, hello, table for two, smoking or non,
smoking or non. Yeah, there you go. I haven't heard that in years. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay.
But that was a thing.
Right.
And absolutely. And it was, Mexican family, everybody that worked there was, related in some way. And I fell in love with that culture, just seeing how everyone interacted. And I got yelled a lot, in Spanish, not in a bad way, but like, get 2 waters to table 3 or whatever else. And but I did. I just fell in love with that. And then I started being invited to, why don't you come down to Mexico for a quinceañera, or why don't you come down for whatever else? And I just really loved the culture, and it helped to really fuel my desire to see other parts of the world.
Okay.
I had grandparents that lived in Europe as well. And so I think as a boy, when it was, we're going to fly to, go see grandma and grandpa, it's like 10 hours on a plane was just what you did. It wasn't challenging. It wasn't. And so I'd fly to Sydney for lunch. I mean, I really love, I just love seeing things.
The food's that good in Sydney that you'd go and okay. All
right. Just the adventure of it, I suppose. Right. No, I mean, they do have nice food, but no, I wouldn't say that. But yeah.
Where did you go to college?
WSU, Washington State.
Okay.
And so that was another big part of my photographic. I wasn't doing photography then, but the eastern part of the state, I had no idea that really existed, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
I had no idea. It looked like an entirely different planet,
Oh
than
yeah.
Western Washington. Like, how many photos could you show of the Palouse and give to somebody and say, "Where are we?" And they're like, "Kansas." You know what I mean.
The thing I think that always amazes me when when I run into somebody from outside of the area.
Yep.
My daughter's now ex-husband, he's Austrian, and he first time that they came over, they flew into SeaTac, so he saw Seattle, and he'd seen Seattle in pictures before, and we're living on the west side of the state at that time, and he's like, "Oh, okay." So he comes over. So the second time he comes over to visit, we moved over here to Wenatchee.
Oh wow!
And I think he thought he was on a completely different planet. He was. we jokingly took him to Leavenworth so he'd feel at home.
That's funny.
But we took him, to Moses Lake, not because he'd been bad, but just to kind of to drive, just to keep going east. And he was like, I had no clue that this part of the state, that this is Washington State. No clue. And I think media doesn't do the state a good justice by focusing on, the west side of the state's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Puget Sound. It's beautiful, but cross the Cascades and travel east, and the Missoula floods, what it did to the landscape of the state is radically different than where you're living. And
absolutely.
And the needs of this region are very different than the needs of Puget Sound. You guys need
for sure
16 more lanes of freeway to, accomplish basic rush hour traffic. We don't necessarily need that here. And anyway, you can travel the state, and when you think about where you live, okay, so I'm not going to joke about traffic, but you can get to Mount Rainier in about 2 hours, 3 hours, probably
2.5. Yep.
Yeah,
agreed.
2.5, 3 hours. So if you drew a 3-hour radius around your house, and you could see, you get to the Pacific, you get to Mount Rainier, you could get over here. How many other places in the world have that diversity?
Well, you're exactly right. It doesn't. Randy and I were talking about this exact thing. I had gotten back from Alaska and was saying how diverse Alaska is. He's like, yeah, but maybe not as much as Washington. I don't know if any state in the U.S. has as much diversity. We have the largest glaciers in the lower 48. We have, over 100 10,000-foot peaks. Obviously, you talked about the Scablands and the coulees, and that geologically is just outrageous. The fact that was made like almost immediately, not geologic time, but massive flood water time.
Well, so we have a rainforest, right? And then if you go down to the Tri-Cities, I heard this stat. I haven't validated the stat, so I don't want to speak it as if it's completely factual. I do believe it is, because I heard it from somebody who would be a good trusted source. But Tri-Cities gets less annual rainfall than Phoenix.
Whoa. I could see that.
So
I could see that. Yeah.
When you think of Phoenix and you think of Arizona, you think hot desert. You don't think rainforest and glaciers and yes, Sedona is different than Phoenix, but you get the idea. I do. We're such a wide range, and here you are going out and documenting it with your cameras.
That's it. All
right, as we wrap this up, I've got some. These are now my kind of. I ask everybody that questions.
You got it.
So here you go. This one's probably my most important question. Is really around Woodinville. Where's a great place for coffee?
Sidekick Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Sidekick Coffee.
Yeah.
Have you been there before?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, good. I think for me, that's the best. Boy, it's crowded, but they tend to get through things quickly. And I just like the space. In fact, I'm having a launch party there.
Okay.
And I'll send you an invite for that. You're welcome to come if you feel like making the trek into bad traffic.
Yeah. Well, it's the east side's easier than getting into Seattle for me.
Yeah.
So when you're at the Sidekick ordering coffee, what's the go-to coffee drink?
Okay. after coming back from Australia and when I had lived there, I was in love with cappuccinos. So I'm in a cappuccino fix right at the moment.
Okay.
But they also I had a coffee that had like a tonic, which I didn't even know what that was. It was like a blood orange. It was like a blend of things, a matcha coconut with coffee. It was interesting. I don't know. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, to be honest with you, and you can look at my face, and I'm kind of squinting my eyes.
Yeah, it's too much. I get it.
Well, no, but here's the thing. I was up, and this is something I'm trying to do more. So I was up in Bellingham, and I was at a coffee shop, the Littered Streets Cafe, which is a great little coffee shop in Bellingham. Yeah. They are not a sponsor of the show, but you should go there. Okay. And I went there, and I was visiting a bunch of coffee shops in a couple of days while I was up in Bellingham. The goal was to write a piece of content on it, and somebody has to drink coffee, and I guess it'll be me. And I know me, and I know what I'm going to order, and I'm pretty consistent, and that can translate to being pretty boring. If you're reading about, he had black coffee again. Okay. So I went there and I said, hey, I'm going to barista pick you, what's your best drink? And they like go, well, we have this and it has lavender and da-da-da. And I'm like, just kind of going, okay. I would not have ordered that drink.
And?
It was delicious. It was amazing. It really, and so it's like, I've got to try to remember that. So you're telling me about this and I'm instantly reacting. I don't know, but you know what? I've got to be more open to allowing experiences.
I'm more like you with that. I'm real happy to have traditional coffee flavor. Mm-hmm. Like Colombia, if you ever get a chance to go to Colombia, you can get little teeny tiny cups. It cost about 20 cents. They've got coffee everywhere. It's unbelievable. Right. And the coffee there is unbelievable. Yeah, it's a whole nother world. Right. I've never been to a place like that for coffee. Where
there's a great coffee shop in Seattle that, oh gosh, I can't think of the guy's name. This is bad. But he was, one of the owners is a former Seattle Sounder, Freddie Montero, and Colombian coffee. Totally. They're trying to replicate the Colombian coffee experience in Seattle. So,
thank you.
Not that Seattle,
I definitely didn't know that.
Not that Seattle doesn't have its own
coffee culture, right?
Yeah. All right. So, how about let's mix it up just a little bit. What about lunchtime? Where's a great place to grab lunch?
Okay, this is one you probably don't know, and I really love it. It's called the Woodinville Bodega. Woodinville Bodega. Yeah, and it's basically Korean-inspired dishes, if you will, different types of kimchi and, for lack of, fish, etc. They're a small store. They there's a coffee shop within it. They have all sorts of different Asian products from all over the place. The owner is fantastic. He really likes to get to know people. It feels like a hometown restaurant, if you will. Okay. And he usually sells out pretty quickly. And so yeah, if you like those types, if you like Korean food, and again, it's not a bad place to go, and it's near-ish Sidekick. It's about a block away.
Sidekick adjacent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now I prefaced this one with you, and you've agreed to play along, and so here it is. This is a very once again I must establish the rules. You've agreed to answer the question.
Deal.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I did. You're right.
So here's the question: cake or pie?
Pie.
Okay. Why?
Huckleberry. Okay. Huckleberry pie. I would choose that over anything. I'm in love with huckleberries.
Huckleberry pie.
I love them both, though. Don't get me wrong.
No. See, you're waffling now. You're waffling.
No, you're right. Huckleberry pie. Fine.
Huckleberry pie.
There you go. Final answer.
You want to phone a friend. All right. But let me ask you this question, because I refuse to give up this thesis. As a kid growing up, did you guys have more cake or more pie?
More pie, definitely. Just because of the abundance of berries that we have around Washington. There was a blueberry farm that was down the street from where I lived, and another one that was, well, the funny thing is, it was a pretty good sized blueberry farm. I want to say 20 acres, but it is now long since abandoned, but the blueberries are still there. So it's pretty great. You get blueberries all the time.
See, my working premise is that what you grew up with is influencing your answer as an adult.
Totally.
But I refuse to give up, but most people don't they don't back me up. It's kind of not as dramatic of a, like as you grew up, you had pie. I mean,
I did.
Totally.
Not that there's and fresh berries, right. Like it was fresh. It was,
right.
Yeah.
And huckleberries. So the unofficial count is, pie is probably in the lead. Although I will say cake people are more passionate about pleading their case.
I could see that.
They're more, camp cake. Huckleberry, I don't think anybody said huckleberry though. Apples kind of, I mean, if you were going to place a bet, what's it going to be? Apple pie. Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Right. Huckleberry, right. Maybe one other person, out of all the people I've asked this question to, not, so you definitely have picked one that's, not.
Well, if you get Randy on the show, it'll be huckleberry.
Okay.
So
well, let's see.
We like going to Auntie Annie's, if you know where that is there, or Apple Annie's, excuse me.
Right.
And the Huckleberry Cafe inside there and get a huckleberry shake. That's the go. That's something we do all the time. Anytime I'm on that side of the mountains.
Interesting. Okay.
It's funny, right. Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna bring this home. So, this is the interviewer's cheat card. What didn't I ask you that I should have asked you? This is how we.
Honestly, Scott, I thought your questions were great. I really do. And I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I wish you had asked me about. I love the direction that it went.
Okay.
And I thought you asked
the check is in the mail. Thank you for that. But I will say this, and regardless if you're listening to this at the end, in the show notes, we're going to put links back to your photography website and to the website Washington Wide for your book, because that's the title, Washington Wide. We didn't even give your books a proper title, and it's going to be released to stores. I'll just say October is probably safe, right? October. All right.
Yeah, October is absolutely safe. Maybe a little earlier, but pre-order on the website is available.
Pre-order on the website. And you were kind enough to send me a link so I could download the massive. Jeez.
I know.
I actually think I heard my hard drive groan.
I will say with the images, I have them all scanned by a guy who's using a drum scanner that's 25 years old, which was at the pinnacle of scanning film technology.
Right.
Back then, it was a $120,000 scanner, just to give you an idea. Each file is 1.7 gigabytes that I get back. So
interesting. And this is where the show always, we're about wrapping it up and then, but wait, we're going to go off on this that we should have talked about. Yeah. No, you're completely fine. Cause I wanted to bring this up. I did look up it's a Hasselblad drum scanner.
Heidelberg.
Heidelberg, yeah. Yep. Sorry. And I know them as a letterpress printing company and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
That's right. Yeah.
But do you know that there's one on eBay right now for $5,000?
I believe it.
And I was looking at this thing going, looks like medical equipment.
It does.
But two things popped up to me that I question why it's so good. Number one, it's from a computer standpoint, it doesn't have the depth of bits that modern technology has.
Right.
I was like, but it's only, I want to say 12-bit. It's not.
Right.
It's not 32-bit or whatever it is now. And I was like,
right.
But then the other thing that got me, and I didn't realize it was quite that old. What do you plug the thing into that works anymore?
Yeah, you need a SCSI card in order to do it.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, so you have to have a SCSI card.
Yeah.
Good luck finding Good luck finding a computer these days that can take a SCSI format card, much less has a driver that'll drive the thing.
Right.
And now you're telling me that these files are 1 gig plus.
Yeah.
Go back 20 years where we carry terabytes in our pockets, but I used to work at Egghead Software in Bellevue in the 90s. And I remember when we got a gigabyte hard drive and it was like, we don't need that much space. And, now my phone has a terabyte.
It's outrageous.
So you're telling me this drum scanner is providing you with raw gigabit. Are these TIFF format? Is that what they're giving them to you?
I get them as TIFFs. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you're taking, so are you taking them into Photoshop at that point?
Yep, exactly. They literally come as the piece of film with all the black bits and everything else on it.
Oh,
I
really?
crop it down. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and then I crop it down and get it to the size that I need to work with, because it's a massive file. I could do as high as about 80 inches for a print at 400 DPI. So it's really, really nice.
Okay, so this is part 2 of the episode. So you're running Photoshop. Are you on a Mac or a PC?
PC.
So you get I'll call it the raw file. You get the raw image and you're bringing it into Photoshop for the first time. How beefy is the hardware that you're running? What do you?
It's surprisingly not as crazy as you'd think.
Okay.
I have an older, my computer's 5 years old, but
Okay.
it was spec'd to do this kind of work then.
Right.
Well, I have, a NAS network array storage.
Yep.
That has been a godsend. So I have, what do I have? I think I have 20 terabytes of used space and then another 20 terabytes worth of drives that are just waiting for one of those drives to fail. And then that data will go. Right?
Drives have gotten so expensive. You might be able to retire and sell your drives and fund your retirement account. I mean, that might, just putting that out there for you.
Yeah, no, the files can take a little bit of time to open, but not that bad.
Right.
Exporting the PDFs out, I had to do it in 3 chunks, or my computer would just be like, "I'm sorry, I don't have memory to do what you're trying to process here."
What monitor do you edit your photos? What?
It's an Acer. It's a Pro Art Series monitor. So it's all. And then I have color calibration, and I calibrate every 3 weeks.
Okay.
And just to make sure, and I keep my lighting the exact same in the room, et cetera, because that's the fear. That's the hard thing. How do I make these shots look like the transparency onto CMYK, which doesn't have the gamut, doesn't, I'm working at a deficit, if you will.
Right.
But working with the printers and everything else, we were able to get it to where I'm pleased. I was very, very pleased with the whole process. I mean, it took a long time, but that's okay.
Now you're saying, and this is the last question, I promise you, that you're saying some of your prints can go 80 inches.
Correct.
Your monitor is not that big.
No.
So how big is the monitor that you're working with?
It's a 32 inch.
32 inch. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it like when because you sell your artwork, by the way. He's got photos for sale on his website, that museum grade, et cetera, and all those things.
Right.
What's the experience like when you see an 80-inch print show up, from UPS delivers a fully framed, ginormous print?
Yeah, that's it. Well, so the person that does my scanning, he also does my printing.
Okay.
And then I do my framing here in Ballard.
Okay.
With a friend. And boy, as far as there's a setting on Photoshop where you can view print size. And so that at least gives you an idea of what you're going to be looking at for level of detail. Obviously on the monitor, it's a blown up version of it, but at least it gives me an idea of what I'm dealing with. And so having done this long enough, I feel I'm pretty comfortable in understanding what I'm going to get. And then the guy that I use, his name is Michael Strickland. He's out of Kansas, and he is a grandmaster. I read an article that he wrote about the Heidelberg Tango a few years back, and you could just feel the love in his writing. And it was like, I have to use this guy. This person is beyond a technician. He is wanting to do this at the highest possible level. And I'm honored to be using him, to be quite honest with you. I just think.
But here's the thing. You're using
old tech.
Yeah, you're using old tech. And what's sad is it's not old. It's younger than we are, man. Come on. It's not old. And we're talking about it like it's being held together by, all sorts of, but
totally.
The computer technology adapts and changes, and the fact that you said a SCSI card, and I haven't heard that term in I don't know how long, because
Egg days, maybe, right?
I can't even think I mean, my first computer that I owned was a Commodore Amiga, and the first hard drive that I bought was like 84 megabytes, and I had to buy it, and then I had to find a SCSI card, and that's why I'm like going, oh, I haven't had to do that since the 80s.
Well, and the drivers, like you were talking about, what a pain that could be.
Well, yeah, and then and so I'm betting he's running this thing on Windows 95 or XP or something, which is great if he is, because
he's doing it all on Macs.
Well, that's even better.
On Macintosh,
which I'm a Mac guy now, so I mean,
yeah, I get it.
John, thank you so much. Like I said, I got to look at the proofs, and I'm not on a art monitor, but I'm on a decent monitor, and they were beautiful. And your website is got some great images and all of that. So
Thank you very much, Scott.
I love the fact that when somebody is willing to take their art and find ways of sharing it with people that aren't just digital. As much as I spend most of my life on a computer, professionally, hobby-wise, physical books are wonderful. I think they're underrated. I love the fact that you're shooting on film and not digital. No shade to digital. I just love the fact that you're making the effort to keep this art form going the way it's going. I do think it's funny that Polaroid cameras are kind of making a comeback.
I know. I mean, they're cool. I get it. I get why people like them, and they are. You're absolutely right. I have students that have them, and
they're kind of coming back, and film is kind of coming back, and vinyl records. Come on now. I think vinyl outsold CDs last year, which is
amazing,
as it should be.
Wow, no kidding. Good for them.
Well, that format has died.
Yeah.
It's just
and my old Subaru, I can play them, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. On my Honda, I can play them in my Honda, and that's it. I don't even have a CD drive on any of my computers anymore. That's actually, I'm looking on my desk with the 3 machines that are here. No, none of them have CDs or DVDs anymore.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Anyway, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing the book when it comes out. And thanks for being a great guest.
I really appreciate being here. It was a blast.
Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ExploreWaState. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. Glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.